The big game was at Old Trafford, Manchester United against Manchester City, easily forgotten as it finished 0-0. Frank Leboeuf and Craig Burley joins us to discuss this one. Craig, oh, what a game.
Oh, it was mind-numbing, wasn't it? I mean, It's like at one point in the second half, if you'd have said it was a practice match pre-season, you could have got away with it. I mean, honestly, look, one was the surprise that Pogba started. He actually defended pretty well, and I think that was the big concern. United, there was no real surprises, but I was disappointed with City. You know, and although they dominated the bulk of the game, you could have taken that front three off. I mean, really so lightweight up front. You know, Mahrez, poor touch for the big chance he had in the first half. Raheem Sterling, some poor touches in good areas. And they really missed some heavy hitting in that final third. And, you know, I wasn't disappointed with United because I think kind of that's where they are, and they had to make sure they got some sort of result after midweek. But I was disappointed with City, and I know that's 6 clean sheets in a row, and that's certainly solving one issue at the moment, but they're certainly a lot more lightweight and have lost a spring in their step going forward compared to the last couple of seasons.
What did you make of it, Frank?
Well, I was disappointed, but I think I found the two teams pretty tired. And I wonder, you know, when we see and we hear coaches, you know, being very critical about the fact that you only have 3 substitutions per game, when I see only 1 during that game from especially Guardiola, who complained a lot about that and made no substitution against Fulham the day before. And we know that they will have a game midweek again, I think on Tuesday for Manchester City. I wonder why they complain about that if they don't do it at least 3 times. Then after saying that, we talk about a derby. A derby is full of rivalry. I don't see that anymore. It's like, you know, the players, they appreciate each other. I don't know if it's a good thing or not, but when someone goes on the floor, the other one goes, say, oh, I'm sorry, how are you doing? Go up, help him to go up. You know, it's everything very nice, where at my time, of course, we didn't see that. On top of it, you know, for a good derby, you need a good atmosphere. And with an empty stand, you know, it's you lose almost everything, which makes a derby being very interesting. And and we know that at Old Trafford you have 75,000 people who can go there, and you have nobody. No wonder where, you know, maybe a little bit of craziness don't show up, because you cannot have. And on top of it, as I said before, you know, 2 teams pretty much tired. No wonder when we see what we saw.
Stevie, this isn't the first time we've seen this season big teams play out rather forgettable matches. Is the fact, as Frank said, there's a lack of crowd there, does that kind of give them the excuse to kind of not play for the win but make sure they don't lose?
100%. I think the fact there's no crowd there just completely affects the derby. You know, it affects every Premier League game, but most of all, it definitely affects the derby, and the Man City, Man United derby. I don't know if you've ever been at one, Dan, but the atmosphere is absolutely fantastic. So I think absolutely they're missing that. And I guess I'm going to be the positive one. Look, we're always complaining, and certainly I am, about teams not being able to defend. Well, both sides today defended great. As Craig said, 6 in a row without losing a goal for City. This is the team that we completely hammered, and we hammered Guardiola as well, that he couldn't teach his defence how to defend, and so they did that today, and Man United as well. You know, yes, Mahrez should have probably scored, but guess what? De Gea's there to defend, and Harry Maguire had a couple of blocks, one on De Bruyne and one on Sterling, and that's good defending. So the positive for both sides is that defensively they were pretty strong.
Let's pick up that point that Frank made, Craig. Only 1 substitution, Ferran Torres coming on. In a match where you say it clearly wasn't clicking in the final third, you got Phil Foden on the sidelines, a big match, he doesn't feature. You kind of wonder what's Pep's thinking going into these sort of matches.
I'm not sure. I mean, he had Bernardo Silva on the bench as well. Ferran Torres did come on. You know, Phil Foden could have come on. You could, as I say, you could have changed that front line, the front 3, to try and, you know, shuffle things up. Because clearly his mindset coming in was, look, we got stung at Tottenham, we got stung twice against United in the last 2 games, so I'm going to play 2 defensive midfielders in Fernandinho and Rodri. And they did a very good job in there. But going forward, they're just lacking that little bit of edge. And I don't understand why they don't make these changes when there's so many games coming thick and fast. To take somebody off, particularly in a game where you're not getting a lot from your front line, to shuffle up that pack a little bit and give guys maybe 20 minutes rest at the end of a game, and then give somebody else 20, 25 minutes or even half an hour to try and get some match fitness for upcoming games, and also change the game, because the finishing was poor. We saw, and once again, we saw it even from the likes of Kevin De Bruyne. And I just don't understand. Maybe I heard people talking about data and starting all this sort of nonsense. Look, I don't understand if you're making an argument about more substitutes in this period, and then in a big derby game when it was clear guys were tired, that you're only making one change. And not only from a standpoint of fitness, but from a standpoint of trying to change the game and go and win it, because clearly City in the second half were bossing the majority of the game, but they needed a little spark in that final third and didn't quite get it.
I think that's the key, Craig. You know, when you don't make changes, it smacks of being happy with what you've got. I can remember doing it myself. I'm thinking, if I make changes, somebody's not quite warmed up, somebody's not ready, it might affect what's going on. I'm just going to actually take what I've got. I think absolutely the fact that they didn't make wholesale changes tells you that, you know what, if we get a draw out of this, then that's okay. And if we win it, then all right, we'll take the bonus.
The other interesting thing, Dan, was the omission of Aymeric Laporte for John Stones, who has had some game time recently. And Guardiola touched on it in his press conference. It's not just been his form and his fitness, but he's had other issues outside of football to deal with. So there's been some mental capacity of a problem for him there. And that's, you know, who knows how much that's affected him. But clearly he's a player that Guardiola likes when fully fit and his mind's on the game. And that was an interesting call. And as Stevie said, both teams did defend well. And he's searching for a partnership with Ruben Dias, who looks like he's going to play most of the games. And it might not be Laporte as we thought, and it could be John Stones. And they actually defended pretty well. And you know, that's something for City to build on, because it has been their Achilles heel. But there's no doubt, and the stats will back it up, they're lacking the goals and the threat that they were of last year. And I know Aguero's been out, and that's been a big miss for them, but they are lacking it in other areas as well. It's all very well smacking Burnley for 5 and then rolling over Fulham at home. But in the bigger games, they've lacked that little bit of cutting edge.
Finally, Frank, we spent most of the week saying there was no way that Paul Pogba was going to start this game. He did start. How would you assess him overall?
He had a serious game, nothing to complain about, even being involved in defending actions. It wasn't a fantastic game, but like nobody had today. I think it was well organized. He did what he had to do to help his team to get the draw. I think there is nothing to complain about Manchester United, as Craig said. They did the job. They knew that if they would go forward, they would be punished by Manchester City. They were very well organized and very strong defensively, and Paul Pogba was one of them. So yeah, that was a good option from Ole. He was helped by McTominay and by Fred as well. He was more free on the left side, so it's a good option. He was at his place like he played when he was playing for Juventus before, where he was more free than the other players. And it seems to suit him and suit the team too.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.